Do you know how to pronounce environment in British English? Well, if you're a non-native English speaker who wants more confidence in English and to speak English clearly, confidently, and even with a clear British accent, then in this English pronunciation tutorial, I'm going to show you how to pronounce environment in British English. I'm going to show you the mistakes that you're probably making with the word. I'm going to explain why you might hear it being pronounced differently to how it's pronounced in the dictionary. I'm going to show you how to put this word into connected speech so you can actually use this word like a native would in English. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to explain why even if you can pronounce this word clearly and confidently, you still might be misunderstood when you say this word. So watch until the end of the video. You're going to find this really useful. Let's dive in. Welcome back to another clear British accent pronunciation tutorial. I'm Michael Roberts and I'm here fighting for your confidence in English, showing you how to speak English clearly and confidently. The word environment is a long word in English with a number of different syllables. So first of all, let's dive in and get confident pronouncing each of the syllables in this word. The first syllable is very simple. In. Just like I'm inside, okay, in. The next syllable is the stressed syllable in this word, which means that out of all the syllables in this word, this is the one that's going to be the loudest, the longest, the highest in pitch, and produced with the most amount of force. So this syllable is vi. We've got a V sound, and often people have difficulty with the V sound. So in the description below, I've got tutorials on the V sound, but also the I diphthong, vi. If you're talking about yourself in English, you're going to use the diphthong I. Okay, and it's very, very important that you can pronounce this sound clearly if you want to feel confident in English. So if you're not confident with the diphthong I, again, look in the description below and I'll show you step by step how to make that. But for now, let's put these two syllables together. Invie. Make sure that diphthong lasts like a long vowel sound would. Invie. And also make sure that you're putting the primary stress of that diphthong on the first part of the diphthong. Vi. The next syllable is where things can get tricky. So what we've got is an R sound, an English R sound, followed by an N consonant. Now you might want to pronounce this with a schwa sound in between these two consonants, but what's more likely to happen in English is you're either going to pronounce just the N sound and no vowel in that syllable, so you'll get run, or what you might hear is something like that N sound disappears altogether, so you're left with environment. I'll get to why you might hear that in a moment, but for now let's learn it with the N. So what we've got so far is environ. Again, make sure vi is stressed and run is unstressed. Here, run, this syllable is going to be the weakest syllable in the word, okay, which means it's the quietest, the quickest, and produced with the least amount of force. Environ. And then the final syllable is ment. It starts with the M sound. Then again, there might be a schwa sound in there, but you can basically forget about the schwa sound because it doesn't really matter. It's not going to make any difference to the pronunciation of this word. And then after that, you've got an N sound, which can become a syllabic N, which basically means that it can replace the schwa sound, which makes the word easier to say. And then finally, a T sound after that. So this final syllable is ment. All you're doing is going between the M sound, the N sound, and then the T sound, ment. This might be difficult if you don't have multiple consonants that come together in your native language. Here you've got three, the M, the N, and the T. But the reason why you might find this easy is the M sound, airflow's coming out your nose, and it's also coming out your nose for the N sound. The only thing that changes there is the lip and tongue position. Mun. For M, your lips are together. Then the lips open. And then for N, the tip of your tongue touches the alveolar ridge just behind your teeth, mun, mun, mun. And then the T sound is exactly the same position as the N sound. Okay, so munt, 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 munt. Now, I'm not going to explain it here because it would take too long, and I've got very comprehensive tutorials explaining this. It's very important to pronounce the T sound at the end of this word correctly, okay? You don't want to overpronounce this T sound by saying environment, t. If you make another syllable with this sound, it's incorrect, okay? So if you want to discover step by step how to make this sound at the end of a word, then watch this tutorial either on the screen or in the description below that will give you everything that you need for confident T sounds at the end of words in English. It's very important. But now let's bring this word together before I explain why you then might not want to pronounce it quite like I'm showing it to you here, okay? So environment. Let me slow that right down for you and follow along with me. Follow along, especially because this is the correct way to pronounce this word. Environment. 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 Okay, one time a bit quicker. Environment. Now, that is the correct pronunciation of this word. But here is why you might hear this word being pronounced slightly differently to this in English. This word is quite a long and challenging word to say. There's a lot going on. And what makes this word particularly challenging is you get the N sound, environ, coming right before you get the M sound, environment, in the next syllable. So you get the N sound at the end of one syllable, and then in the next syllable you get the M, N, T consonants. So you've kind of technically got 4 consonants coming together here, spread over 2 syllables. Environment. Okay. In English, there are 2 things that native speakers often do subconsciously when they're speaking English to make English easier to say. One is called assimilation, and the other is called elision. Assimilation is where native speakers will change consonants at the end of one syllable or the beginning of the next syllable to make them more similar to the consonant that they're next to. And this basically makes English easier to speak. An example of this would be in this word environment. To make this word easier to say, a native speaker might turn that N at the end of the last syllable into an M sound. So essentially what you'd get is environment, environment. You're losing the N, you're getting a slightly longer M sound instead, and that would make this word a lot easier to say, environment. Okay. The second concept in English is called elision, and this is essentially where native speakers will sometimes drop consonants, again, to make English easier to say. Now, it's very, very important that you don't start dropping consonants where you shouldn't be dropping consonants, okay? Because if you do that, that can really affect the sound of your English. And a piece of feedback that I frequently give students in my English pronunciation coaching program is to not drop consonants in the wrong places. I'm telling you this so that you're aware of it, but I'm not telling you this so you need to worry about trying to learn it, okay? It's not a good thing to learn in case you end up doing it incorrectly. It's more important that you learn it so that you're aware of it. And that's what I'm giving you here. I'm telling you it, and you should be now aware of it, okay? So in the word environment, to make it easier to say, you might hear people dropping that N sound altogether in speech. So instead of it becoming an M, so you'd get environment, you might hear it being dropped altogether, so you'd get environment. I recommend pronouncing this word the correct way, which is the way that I've shown you here today, okay? Start practicing it slowly, and then as soon as you've got comfortable practicing the word, just gradually speed it up and start putting it into phrases where you could see yourself using it, all right? I don't recommend dropping the N sound because if you overdo it, again, it might not sound quite right. And elision and assimilation happen, especially when native English speakers are either being lazy or talking very informally. You're much more likely to hear people dropping consonants in English when they're talking to their friends than, for example, if they were reading the 10 o'clock news. So I would recommend learning this word as I've given it to you here. And before I get to the bonus tip at the end of this video, now let's just practice putting this into a phrase so you can follow along with me and actually see how this word falls into a phrase with connected speech. The phrase we're going to use is we must protect the environment. Okay, we must protect the environment. So let's say it nice and slowly, and I'm going to connect all these words up together so they're one continuous flow of English speech, because this is what you would be doing if you were a native speaker. Okay, so follow along with me for this phrase. We must protect the environment. 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 Now a bit quicker. We must protect the environment. We must protect the environment. We must protect the environment. And now at native speed, we must protect the environment. We must protect the environment. We must protect the environment. Okay, now I'm about to give you the bonus tip, but I hope you could hear there, and especially you'll be feeling this if you're following along with me. The reason why I mentioned earlier on in this tutorial why the schwa vowel sounds often disappear is because this word is so much to say anyway, and we've got so many consonants that the schwa sounds can quite easily disappear and the words still sound correct, especially as we speed it up. Okay? So, now to the bonus tip. Here's why, even if you can pronounce this word clearly and confidently, you might still find it difficult to use this word clearly and confidently in your English speaking. And the reason is the article that will come before the word environment. Okay? English is a stress-timed language, which means that English is built around stressed and unstressed syllables. We do not stress every syllable evenly in English. If not, the phrase that I would give you would sound like this. We must protect the environment. We must protect the environment. It sounds like a computer speaking, not a human being, all right? And to help English flow naturally, what we do in English is we take common articles and common words in English that don't really carry much meaning, but are there to give the language grammar and structure, and we reduce their pronunciation and give them what's called a weak form pronunciation. The word the, as in the environment, has 3 different pronunciations in English. And the one that you probably learned when you learnt English, we hardly ever use at all in English. We wouldn't normally use it if we were talking about the environment. Okay? I've got a tutorial which I will link at the end of this video, which I highly recommend if you want to start using the word the like a native speaker would in English. And I do recommend that because that's going to be vital for your English rhythm and also for having clear pronunciation of one of the most important words in English. But let me explain how you would use the word the in the combination the environment. You would not say the environment. Instead, the word the would be pronounced with a short, unstressed, weak I vowel sound. So you're putting your lips in the position of E, the long E vowel sound, E, but the length of the vowel is going to be short, like clicking your fingers, and it's also going to be very quiet and very unstressed. We're going to pronounce the word the as the. And then the word that comes afterwards, which is environment, is going to be more stressed. So we're going to say the environment, the environment. Can you hear how if I do that, the is quiet, then in is a little bit louder, and then the stressed syllable in the word environment is much more stressed than that. So what we get is the envi, the envy. It's like walking up a staircase. The envy. The envy. Pronouncing the environment like that instead of the environment is very, very important. So let me give you that phrase one more time that I gave you, and now practice this word, but with the correct pronunciation of the word the beforehand. So we're going to say, we must protect the environment. We must protect the environment. We must protect the environment. Okay? It's as simple as that. I say it's as simple as that. I know that this isn't easy. I work with non-native English speakers all the time to help them pass job interviews, get their British citizenship, pass their IELTS exams, get promoted, all these important things where clear English pronunciation is essential. This is what I'm doing every day, helping non-native English speakers to speak English with clear and confident English pronunciation. So I'm aware of how difficult this will be, but if you can do this, it's going to give you massive confidence whenever you use this difficult word environment. But more importantly, you're going to be able to use the correct pronunciation of the word the all the time in English. And I'm going to get to that just very quickly in 1 second. If you found this tutorial useful, then give it a thumbs up. That really helps me out. It helps me to create more tutorials like this. I'm here fighting for your confidence every day in English and wanting to see you succeed in English. If you want my personal help on your pronunciation, then look in the description below. You can join my coaching program and get my personal help on your pronunciation. And here's the takeaway from this lesson. I've just shown you one of the other pronunciations of the word the. There are 3 in English, and the one that you learned when you learnt English, we hardly ever use in English. So to learn all 3 pronunciations of the word the in English, how and when to use them, and how to feel confident pronouncing them with a clear British accent, watch this tutorial here. It'll surprise you so much in terms of how native speakers actually speak English with words like the. So check this video out right now. You'll absolutely love it, and I'll see you here in just a second.